All right, now that you've got your year-end rental owner statement that we've emailed to you, I want to talk about how to process it. So we most likely sent you a PDF file. To make it easier, you probably want to work out of Excel. I recommend that you log into your owner portal, navigate to the reports in the top right corner. Once you're there, choose the rental owner statement report. You want to make your settings as last year, so dates 1/1 to 12/31. Choose the include income statement. You don't need transaction details. That's something you can look at later, but not for the purpose of processing the application. It's always a good idea to go back, look at your transaction details, and there you'll be able to see what was charged to you for every single transaction throughout the entire year if you like. That's also a good activity to do month to month when you get your statement. So the next thing you want to do is include inactive properties just in case you sold one mid-year, but make sure you keep those included. You'll click the Run Report and export. After it's done creating, export it to Excel. Now once you've exported to Excel, let's take a look at that and what your next step should be. So in your Excel file that you get, you want to go in, and here I just went in and kind of hid the columns, right click and hide, but I hid all of the properties because I only want the totals column here, the all properties column. So I hid everything else that relates to a property. I want to look at it as a whole so I can get my year-end tax information. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here, and this is where the numbers that I need are in that income statement that you check the box on to include. So very first number that's going to jump out is your total income. We're going to grab that and just kind of park it at the bottom for right now. We'll get back to that at the end. And then let's focus on your expenses because that's the most important part. So first thing I want to do is pull out my depreciable expenses, and I kind of put them over here on the side. Put a formula on them, this divided by 5, because it's a 5-year expense for carpet, appliances, or furniture are depreciable. So I bought a refrigerator, it looks like, so divide that by 5. I can write off $122.60 this year, but the rest of it needs to go on my depreciation scale for future. So then I also did some improvements. Looks like some roofing work for $3,500. That's a 27.5-year depreciable expense. This year I get to write off $127.67. I get that towards my expenses that I can take directly off, but the rest I need to take off over time because it's the life of the expense, and so that's just tax rules. So the next thing I want to look at is property tax. You're going to need to plug this number in from whatever bank you use if you paid your own bill. But our company paid this one, so here I just grab that number. If you mail in your slip to us and we have enough funds to pay it for you, or if you fund it, we'll pay it for you. It cuts down on your amount of bookkeeping you have to do personally. So there's my property taxes I paid for my entire portfolio for the year. And then I have some sub-items here, and I think it's important because I like to track turns. Now, this isn't a complete number. We started this about mid-year, but we're tracking turns now. And so when we do a turn, I think it's important that we see, hey, what does a turn cost, or how much am I spending on turns, and how much is that I want to communicate if I ever sell my portfolio. Those weren't repairs, those were turns, those were improvements. I just want to make sure that I'm calling that out when people look at the expenses, so I don't think I have this rundown, dilapidated portfolio with high expenses with no explanation of that some of it was for a turn. So I think it's just good if you ever plan to sell your portfolio that's a line item you kind of track. And then the repairs and labor is going to be the remainder of all these other items over here on the left that haven't been highlighted. So this number, this total expense is $36,537. It should add up if I were to select all of these columns here for expenses. I see here at the bottom, if you have this feature turned on for Excel, $36,537 is going to show up, which matches my number here for total expenses. So that's what I would expect to see. But for right now, my write-off is going to be at $32,664 for the 2019 plan year. And next, I want to go out to my bank and grab the other numbers that LREI hasn't tracked for me because we didn't pay your principal and interest payments. So you want to grab how much did you pay. You should be able to deduce pretty easily. You get a statement from your bank at the end of the year, assuming that you have a mortgage. and it's going to tell you how much interest you paid. And then you can add up all of your principal payments for the year, subtract out that interest, and you'll have your two categories here. So look for a tax form for your bank on the interest. That'll help you split out your principal and interest. You can put those in two different line items. You track them separately in your books. Your insurance cost is going to be pretty easy. You just plug it in here. And then any other expenses that you had that you paid for your properties that LREI did not know about. Maybe you have an HOA that you didn't let us know about and you've been paying that bill. That's where it would go, your other expenses. So then the very last thing you want to do is go grab your total income that we parked down here. You want to add in any additional income that you might have got outside of LREI. So maybe you brought your portfolio to us mid-year, so there'd be some money in there that you've already gotten. If you go look at your bank and it's money we've paid you, don't add that figure in here because it's already accounted for in your total income, your subtotal income line here. So do not add in anything that you've received from us as payment, or you'd be duplicating or duplicating your income or inflating it unnecessarily. So just add in other income that you received from non-LREI entity. That will give you your total income. You now will know your total income and your total expenses, and you'll be able to tell, is your portfolio cash flowing? Did it cash flow last year? And if you want to talk about your performance on your portfolio, give us a call, email us at sales@lreiillc.com, reach out to us any way that you would like. You don't have to send it to sales, just send it to property management at LREIllc.com. That's where everything goes for owner communications, and we'll get to the right department. We'll reach out to you, schedule some time, do a virtual session, and talk about the performance expectations and what maybe some ideas or give you our expertise and what other people are doing out there, if they're underperforming or if they're performing well, just some ideas that people have on what they're doing in order to keep their taxes down or whatnot. So at the end, make sure you consult a CPA to get everything that you need at the end of the day. I'm not a certified CPA, so take this to your CPA, show them what you're doing. Optionally, if you really want to break down per property, you can do this same math on every single property and then enter those line items into your bookkeeping. So if you have QuickBooks and you have a class set up for each property, which some people do, each of those properties you do this same calculation on, and that will tell you how each of your properties are individually performing, which is a great way if you have the time and you're really interested to look at your portfolio at a per property line item level. That would be the best way to do it. But if you just need to get your taxes filed for the year right now, this is a quick summary on how to do it all at once without having to look at each individual property. Thank you.